Because we know people who should be successful, but what? They're not successful. Why?
So that's his why buy. But what is he afraid of?
My personal style of education, but still entertain them, bring them along with stories, right?
Who do we want to learn from? People who are what? Killing it. If you're a real man, what do you do? I'm not the only one.
You can't wait to tell your spouse. You can't wait to tell your colleague. You can't wait to go to work and tell somebody. And you're like, oh my God, I can't wait. So what happened?
If you haven't seen my TV show, you should get cable. That's what you need to do.
From doing a TV show to doing corporate events, I've been so lucky to connect with many passionate entrepreneurs worldwide.
What I've learned from a business perspective.
Because this is the formula for success, no matter who you talk to. Attitude will drive your behavior. Would you agree? And your behavior will drive your consequences every single time.
We got the concept. Okay, we got the concept. We got the equipment, right? We got the brand. You guys got that. And then again, we got the content that we create. That's the easy part. This is the big one, the big C, which is the commitment.
What should you do? That's right. All right. 10Xers, do not fail me. True test. Here it comes.
There's skill, and then there's will. Listen to what I'm saying. There is skill, and then there is will. And here's the interesting thing. I know a lot of people who have a lot of skill, but have no what? Will, right? You ever look at somebody who's successful, and you say, why them, why not you? Yes, okay, that's me too.
You have more control, but your costs are also going to be what? Higher.
Now, here's where some of the magic is starting to kick in.
You can talk to any CEO in the B2B business, any CEO. You walk into his office and they only care about three things. People too. Yeah, you with the suit, put it up. There you go. I hope you can see this. I'll try to draw big. Let's pretend for a moment that I had 7 territories. You remember I wrote that out? Yes or no? Boom. Territory 2, territory 3, all the way to territory number what? 7. So now I've segmented my market.
So content is going to start being created by machines. And I'm telling you right now that those people, you guys, the content creators that connect with people are the ones that are going to win. Some people think, well, it won't work for my industry. Really? It'll work for any industry. Trust me. The majority of the time when we're looking to fix something, repair something, or learn something, where do we go? YouTube. We don't even want to read anymore. We go to YouTube. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
When you're doing your thing, beautiful things begin to happen. It's like the law of attraction kicks in. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're in line with the universe. Everything works. And when you do your thing, everybody gets an automatic MBA, which stands for what? Mega Bank Account Money. Are you with me? So we don't want to do a thing. We want to do a what? Beautiful.
All right, put it all together for Victor Antonio. Here we go.
All right, there we go. I'm not here to mess around. You ready to learn? Yes or no?
That's how it works in today's market. Whether it's B2B or B2C, you see the similar patterns. How do you just, in other words, say you got to start doing these things, pushing them, but also encouraging them. Oh, look at this. This is where it gets, dude, this is like so interactive with audiences, Matt. Can you imagine this with your customers? Check this out. Now, what does all this have to do with selling? It has everything to do with selling.
All right, what's happening? Sales After Dark crew, man. Come on into the comment area. I see my man Chris Stone is already into his house. Let me have you here right there. Mega bank account. Get that MBA. Chris, love the intro. You know I do. You know I love your stuff, man. So, TJ, what's happening? Man, TJ, I've not seen you in a while, my brother. Good day, Master VA. Long time. Yes, it has been a long time. I'm not going to miss this one. Good for you, man. I'm glad you're hanging out. There she is. There she is. The one that completes the show all the time. Mia knocked in the house, man. Mia, thank you for being here. Always love having you here. And there he is, Angelo Villalobos. I heard you're quarantined right now because you got tested positive for COVID. I hope you're feeling better, man. Hope you're feeling well. Hope you didn't give me anything. We were over there yesterday in Phoenix, or 2 days ago. So we'll see how that goes, man. Not feeling anything yet. Not feeling anything yet. Hey, Anthony Reed, what's happening, man? Thank you for joining me. Christian Shook. That's such a cool name. Nice to see you again as well. Love the name. And man, this dude is special. This guy, Harold Morrow Jr., this dude is special. I went to college with this guy. I got so many stories with this guy. But anyway, Harold, man, thank you for joining us. You know, I think we should do a Zoom call. You, me, Mark, and the crew. You know who I'm talking about, man. We need to do that, man. Mr. Clutch, what a surprise. What do you mean, man? I'm scheduling these now. Miguel Willabanks, hello. Right back at you, man. Thank you for being here. Jason DeMarco, what's happening, man? Thank you for joining me tonight. So, should we jump into it? Who we got? TJ, let me see what you got here, TJ. I'll wait for a couple more people to jump on board. TJ says, yeah, I sent you an email. I missed you this so much. Sorry for the disappearing act. I think I disappeared on you. Please read my email. I don't remember getting it, though. Can you shoot it to me again? I really don't remember. I honestly don't remember. Just finished my home isolation, by the way. Laughing out loud, man. I'm glad you're back. Let me see. Christian, you're very welcome. It is a cool name. Shook. What's up, Shook? K Shook. It's like a DJ name. K Shook. Chicka, chicka, yeah. Anyway, Giovanni Rotagliano. Victor Saw / met you in Atlanta. Outbound 2021, man. Love your stuff. 2022, I'll be there again, obviously. By the way, go to outboundconference.com. Outboundconference.com. I think we're going to have it in September of this year. Super excited. We got new schedules, new stuff, new contact, new tracks. And I still don't know what the schedule is. But if you go there, sign up. By the way, use the discount code Victor100 just in case you decide to sign up. Mr. Clutch says, what's up again? Camless Sawant from India. Dude, you're like Mr. Regular, man. I love that. I love that about you, man. I love that about you. Tucson, Arizona. Mark was just there in Phoenix, Arizona, man. I love Arizona, man. I love Arizona, man. So Harold says, yes, sir. We got to do that, man. We really should do that, man. We studied engineering together, so we helped each other out, man, get through some of these tough classes. Like I said, there's a lot of stories, man. I don't know about you, but I think about college all the time and go, man, that was some interesting times. Ian, ponder. I think about things. Ponder. Ian, howdy. Love your stuff, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Matt, give me the thumbs up. Appreciate you, man. Doug Lehman, where he is. Dougie Fresh. What did do, VA, Vic, in layman's term, man? Dougie, my man, good to see you as always. So, should I jump into this content? I think I should, man. All right, as you know, I'm doing this whole thing where today I'm going to talk about the endowment effect as it pertains to my book. Again, Mastering the Upsell. So here's kind of where we're at right now. You can see my head up here. There you go. So here's kind of where we're at. We covered strategy number 1, which is freemium to premium, multiple options, decoys. Man, if you did not see the last live stream on decoys, you need to go back and look at that one. That's one of my favorite chapters in the book, and we covered it on the last live stream, so go check out decoys. Today we're going to talk about the endowment effect. I might go back later on and check this one right here. I skipped this one. Like I said, I skipped all of this. I just jumped straight to the upsell because this is the tactical stuff, right? This is like the stuff you could just use. But I think it's worth going back maybe to, client acquisition cost versus client lifetime value. So I might go back and do that in one of my next live streams. So again, if you're just joining us for the first time, we're released a book called Mastering the Upsell. There it is. Check it out and just buy it right there. Buy it. I made it affordable for everybody. And so what I'm doing is I'm going through the book over these live streams. But the video, I'm hoping as we're doing these live streams, add a little more flavor to the book. Right? So I'm trying to give you some more flavor. So today we're going to talk about, again, I'm going to go back here. We're going to talk about, again, the endowment effect, which is a really powerful strategy. And I'm going to spend a little time on this because this is going to answer a lot of questions you have about how to sell and how to position pricing. Side note. So I'm talking to one of my clients today, one of my coaching / workshop / I do keynotes for them clients, right? And it's a huge company. We're talking, I think they're about $2 billion with a B, $2 billion company, right? And we're having this conversation, and a conversation towards, I keep it general because it was kind of proprietary conversation. But it was interesting how pricing is now becoming quite the subject when it comes to actually putting out proposals and bids. And so one of the things we talked about is different selling strategies, pricing strategies. That's why I want you to go back and look at the decoys one because I think it's that important. And again, what I'm going to talk about today is the endowment effect. It's almost like a pricing approach. And so right now, I think one of the biggest outstanding issues out there, one of the challenges we face as salespeople is how do we go back and tell our customers, for example, that the price is going up, right? It's a big conversation. Prices are going up or you're delaying service, right? That's another conversation that we have to have. So, and maybe later on in some other live streams, what I'll do is I'll address some of these issues. But for right now, I want you to note that some of the stuff we're talking about right now in terms of pricing, like decoys and today endowment, really play into the whole how do you approach clients with higher pricing. And I think you'll be able to apply the endowment effect to that as well. We got some other people jumping on. Let me see. We got my man, Jay. Jay, I know I owe you a schedule for us to get together. I got that. I just got back in yesterday, so I'm trying to, coordinate. Christian, thank you for sharing the link. I appreciate you. Inkle John, the value merchant, all the way from the Philippines, man. Thank you for being here. B.S. Rao from India. Again, appreciate your folks over there. One day, that's kind of what on my bucket list. I got Ireland on my bucket list. India's on my bucket list. Japan's on my bucket list. Those three right there. Maybe China, because I always wanted to see the Great Wall, right? Those are on my bucket list. But anyway, let's jump into this. Let's get into it. Let's stop messing around, and let's get into the endowment effect. Now, to understand the endowment effect, let me give you a simple example. And by the way, at the bottom, you'll see here, this was a study done by Daniel Kahneman. If you don't know who Daniel Kahneman is, you should look him up. And I'll go full screen so you can see the links on the bottom. So Daniel Kahneman, by the way, his partner was a guy by the name of Amos Tversky, have put together a lot of different studies. I love his book, so look up Daniel Kahneman. Anything that Daniel Kahneman writes, I read. He won a Nobel Prize for economics, and one of the things they talk about is this endowment effect. Now, let me kind of set this up. First of all, what they did is they offered people a coffee mug, said, hey, do you like this coffee mug? People said, yeah, I like the coffee mug. I really do, right? Then they said, are you willing to buy it for $3? The WTP stands for willing to pay. What are you willing to pay for this mug? And $3 was the number, right? So they sold it to people for $3. So keep this in mind. It's like me selling you this mug, right? Yeah, boom, here, $3, you buy the mug, right? So $3 you pay for it. Yeah, I'm willing to pay $3 for the mug. And then what they did was really interesting. After the person bought the mug, a stranger then approached them after some time passed and offers them $3 for the same mug. They paid $3 for the mug. They paid $3 for the mug. What do you think most people did? Did they accept the $3 or reject the $3? Hit me on the chat. Give me let me see, A for accept, R for reject. A for accept, R for reject. What do you think most people did? Hit it on the chat. And the answer is the majority of people, if not all the people, rejected that, said, no, I'm not doing that. And so what would you say? Most people would say no. So then they asked them, well, how much would you sell it for? What is your willing to, in other words, what are you willing to accept? WTA, willing to accept. Willing to pay, you were willing to pay $3 for the mug, but once you own the mug, what were you willing to accept to actually sell it? And the majority of people actually came in at about $6, almost $6.50, depending on who you were talking to, right? Numbers fluctuated. But the point is, it was well above what they paid. It was well above what they paid. So Kahneman basically says, look, once you buy something, you value it more. Once you buy something, you value it more. This is why, for example, if you look at the real estate industry, is that people want to price their houses high because of all the work they put into it. That's because much like owning the mug, they value it more. and they think the market values it the same way, which it doesn't. You typically value something more than the market does, which is why people say, this is really worth more. And you're like, no, I don't think so. Because once you own it, you value it more. That's the endowment effect. You endow it with a higher value. So what happens? When we talk about the brain is a very fascinating thing. In other words, the brain experiences pain. The brain hates to give up things. So when somebody said, hey, I'm willing to pay you $3 to give it up, your brain experiences pain. And so it holds on. So Kahneman says, in order for you to overcome that pain, you have to be at least 2x the price in order for somebody to give something up. Let me give you an example, and I love always talking about this example because this really talks about the endowment effect. And I set up this example so you can kind of get an idea of how this works. By the way, I'm going to tie this all to pricing. Just bear with me. I'm giving you the underlying psychology of how this all works. So in the candy example, it works like this. Imagine going to the candy store, right? One of those places where you buy them by the pound, right? Or in your case, I don't know, by the grams, right? But let's say the pound. You buy them by the pound. And so I walk in, and all of a sudden I say, look, and I look at the display, and I see these chocolates, and I go, boom, I'll take those chocolates right there, and let me have a pound of those, right? So what happens? The guy grabs the bag, there's a scale. Usually if you look at a counter, the scale is almost eye level. I don't know if you've noticed this, but the scales, stores who know how to sell, they'll put the scale right at eye level. And so you'll see the scale right there. They put the bag on top of the scale, and then the person starts scooping. Shh. And then the LED starts going, tick, 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 just starts rotating, right? And as the LED rotates, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine is like an anticipation drug, like, oh yeah, like you're anticipating something. That's the gambler high, the dopamine, the anticipation. And then it keeps scooping. One, scoop again. Gets closer and closer to a pound. Bam, the guy pours the last part in, whoosh, gets to a pound, you're like, bag it up, I'm taking it with me. You pay, you leave. That's scenario number one. Very common, right? Now, scenario numero dos. Same thing, I want those chocolates right there. The person puts the bag on the actual scale, then they go, whoosh, tick, 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 whoosh, tick, tick, tick. Scale changes, right? And then they go one last scoop, and it goes over a pound, and the person scoops them out. And immediately your brain like, whoa, your brain just yells like, whoa, what are you doing? Because they're trying to get it back to a pound, but the fact is that once the actual candy went in to that bag, your brain took mental ownership of it. Let me say this again, this is important. Once the actual candy went into the bag, your brain took mental ownership of it. It's like when you go to a buffet line. You ever go to a buffet line and you get, I'll take a burger, I'll take some fries with that. And then they put the burger and then they start scooping fries. And then the person puts too many fries, takes some fries out, and you're like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? Put the fries back. The situation is this. Once your fries, these are fries, by the way, these are fries. Here's the plate. Once your fries hit the plate, it's like your brain took ownership of the fries. You're like, hey, put that back. Just like the candy. You're like, put that back. That's my candy. So in other words, once your brain takes ownership of something, it doesn't give it up. It causes brain pain. To which you're probably asking, well, Victor, what's the point? How does this all work with pricing? I'm getting there. Here it comes. So now let's say we have two groups of people. Let's go to another study. Now that you know that. So let me kind of slow down here because I get excited because this is one of my favorite subjects here. Once you take ownership of something, you have a hard time giving it up. That's the big point you got to take away from this. Once you accept ownership of something, you have a hard time giving it up. You know, when you hear the stories about the puppy dog approach, right? Remember the puppy dog approach? Is that if somebody comes by a pet shop and you say, why don't you just take the dog home for a day, and then if you don't like the dog, just bring it back the next day. Well, you know what happens, right? The person gets attached to the dog. They can't give up the dog because it causes too much brain pain to give up the dog. So they did this study. Well, they had, imagine two groups of people in separate rooms, right? Group number one, we're going to give you a car. I'm going to give you a car like Oprah. Hey, you got a car. So I give you a car and it's fully loaded, right? Fully loaded, has everything you can imagine, right? Satellites, whatever. You got it. It's in there, right? So they give you a car. Now, that's group one. Group number two, we're going to give them a basic model. In other words, it's a base model. Like it has barely anything. Maybe even doesn't even have rugs on the floor, right? Carpeting, right, for the car. Now, here's what they do. Group one, who has the car fully loaded, what they say to this group is says, hey, listen to me. Why don't you take out what you don't want? Take out what you don't want, and then we'll calculate the price for everybody, and then we'll come up with an average price. Let me say it again. Everybody has a fully loaded car. I want you to look at all the features and options you have in that car and take out what you don't want. And then each person will calculate each person's price, and then what we'll do is calculate the average price. That's group number one. Now, group number two, they have the base model. They don't have hardly anything, right? What they do is they say, look, why don't you add what you want? Everybody can add what they want in the group, and then we'll grab everybody's pricing, final pricing, and then we'll come up with an average. Now, here's a question to you. Which group, here's a test, which group will have a higher average price? Will it be group number one? If you're in number one, type in number one. Or is it group number two? Which one will have a higher average price? Which one would have a higher average price? Group number one, group number two. Group number one, group number two. Come on. Group number one, group number two. Which one is it? One, Jason says two. One versus two. Which one is it? I'm getting blurry here. There I go. All right, one or two. Too much brain pain. Group number two. Group number one. Duct Taper says number one. I love the name Duct Taper. Duct Taper. I love that one. Kamala says group number two. The answer is, clear this out, group number one. I mean, think about this. Group number one. Most of you got it, though. Most of you got it. Because what happens is, now let's walk through the psychology of this, and because this is really important. So you've given me the car fully loaded, right? Now you're saying to me, take out what you don't want. Remember, that causes brain pain, so I got to give up something. And I just told you, just like the mug, once I own it, right, I don't want to give it up. And so because I've mentally taken ownership of all the features, I don't want to give it up. So I'm going to give up less. Now, that's one type of brain pain. Now, let's go to group number two. This is really interesting. Now, group number two has the base model. So they start out with a base model with a set price. Now, every time the group adds something, it's going to cost them more. So it causes them a different type of brain pain. They're adding like, ooh, that's going to keep adding to the cost. Oh, do I have to pay for that too? Oh, do I have to pay for that too? So they're not going to add that much. In fact, I ran some generic numbers here. If I gave somebody a fully loaded car at $75,000 and I gave somebody a loaded, again, group number two at $55,000, the numbers would look something like this. This is kind of what the numbers would look like, right? So you can see that both groups, again, big numbers, $75,000, they're having a hard time giving everything up on this side. They're having a hard time giving things up. Here, they're having a hard time adding things. So in this example, you can see that group number what? One will always have a higher average price. Now this answers the question once and for all, what do you do? Do you start low and move high, or do you start high and go low? The answer is the following. You typically want to start out high and then move down. Let me give you two examples. Let's say I walk in to buy a suit, right? I'm looking for a suit. I'm looking for a tie. That's what I'm doing, right? I want to look good. I got to go to a wedding, and I got to get dressed. I got to look for a suit. Which would you sell them first? Would you sell them the tie, or would you sell them the suit first? The answer is you would sell them the suit, because once you sell them the suit, then again, adding the tie is not a big deal. The differential price is not that important. But if I tried to sell you a tie first and then a suit, it would make no sense. My point is here is that once you sell something, once you own something of high value, you have a hard time giving anything up. So if you're doing proposals, for example, what I suggest you do is one of your proposals should be all-inclusive, has everything, right? And I'll give you an example in just a bit. Fully loaded is a strategy. Now, again, I should slow down here and highlight something. There's two different strategies you can use in selling. This is important. See, just register this. There's two different strategies you can use in selling, and each one is dependent on the context. Let me explain it to you. One is that you sell something fully loaded to somebody, and then they go, that's more than I expected to pay. And then you begin to subtract things and you bring the price down, right? That's one approach. That's the one I'm suggesting here. Now, another approach is sometimes you just want to get in for the first time. You just want to get them to buy a little bit. And so you could start out with something low and then over time build something. But in the majority of cases, when you're putting together a proposal, what you want to do is start out with something fully loaded, right? Now remember, 2 live streams ago, we talked about freemium and multiple options. So what you want to do is if you got 3 options, remember that? If you have 3 options, what you want to do is fully load the most expensive one. You just fully load it up with everything. Then you get one that's not so fully loaded, and then you get the most cheapest price, right? So you get 3 options. So this is where I would say to you, fully loaded. And I'm going to give you an example of how to use fully loaded in a presentation. So a couple of years ago, I don't know how many years now, but my wife says to me, we need to landscape the back, right? Our backyard. We live like on a 1-acre property, and the backyard wasn't looking the best, right? It needed some landscaping, right? But it was landscaping with hardscape. By hardscape, I mean rocks, pavement, sidewalks, and everything. And then there's softscape, right? Which is flowers, plants, and all that stuff. So when I say landscaping, I'm including both of these. And so my wife says to me, we need to landscape the back. We need to make this look very, pretty in the back, beautiful. And I remember that in my mind, I'm thinking, she's determined. She's going to want to do this. She's going to want to do this, right? She's not going to change her mind. I said, okay, let's set a budget. And I said, let's set a budget of $25,000. It's a big piece of property. That's why it's expensive, right? And I said to her, the budget is $25,000. That's it. We're not spending any more. $25,000. We'll do the landscaping, but the budget I'm giving you is $25,000. Now, keep in mind that when I think about things like this, like investing in landscaping, it's not because I just want to throw money away. It's because I also know it's going to increase the property value. So I'm not stupid, right? But I said $25,000 is the budget. And she says, yeah, whatever. She's like, whatever, yeah, whatever. And I'm like, no, $25,000 is the budget, right? I'm like, I'm serious. $25,000 is the budget. So what happens? We find this company to come over, right? So the guy comes over. I'll make a long story short. The guy comes over and he reviews the property, right? Just reviews the whole property. And then what they do is that you got to pay him $2,500 up front, $2,500 up front. So you got to pay him $2,500 up front, $2,500 up front so they can do the plans. Okay? Now the plans is like the design, how everything is going to look. They'll give you, a beautiful graphic design of how everything's going to look, right? How the sidewalks are going to look, where the trees are going to be, how the plants are going to look, so forth and so on, right? So they do that, right? And then what happens, he says this, if you decide to go with us as a company, we'll deduct $25,000 from the proposal. If you decide to go to somebody else, you'll keep the plans for $2,500. That's the price you pay, right? We're okay. So anyway, a couple of weeks go by, and he says, I've got your design. I want to stop by, right? I want to stop by. And I remember I was telling my wife, okay, no, I know salespeople because I do sales. I know salespeople. He's going to come in over $25,000. I know he is, right? And I said, no matter what he says, no matter what he shows you, I tell my wife, I said, no matter what he says, no matter what he shows you, do not show any reaction. That's what I told her. No matter what she says, no matter what he shows you, don't show any reaction, right? And so she says, yeah, okay, I won't show any reaction, right? I won't show any reaction, right? And so sure enough, the guy comes over. He's got the thing in the tube, right? We stand on the other side of the table, and as soon as he puts the drawing down, he opens the drawing like this because it's rolled up. He opens the drawing, and he shows us the drawing. My wife goes, like that. She does that. She goes, and I'm like, looking at her like, no, don't do that. And I swear to you, the sales guy looked at me like, you're mine. Like she just bought into the whole design. And he had two different proposals. He had one at 27 and he had one at 45,000. Yes, 45. I'm not exaggerating. He had one at 45,000. I'm like, I'm not paying 45,000. There's no way I'm paying 45,000, right? And then, but my wife loves the design. And so then he did something powerful. This is going back to the endowment effect. Now, I want you to imagine the following. He shows us a design, right? He shows a design. It's got trees, it's got sidewalks, it's got plants, it's got sidewalks, it's got more trees. It shows us the whole design, right? And then he has a proposal that has all these line items with pricing, right? Pricing, line item with pricing. You get the idea. And the total is right there, right? That's the 45,000, 45K, right? That's the actual proposal, right? And I'm like, there's no way we're paying for that. It's too expensive. That's more than we expected to pay. What do? Let me ask you a question. What would you do? Let me tell you what salespeople who are not trained do. They start going, well, why don't I just take out some things for you and then, we can see if we can kind of get it down there. That's not what he did. Here's what he did. He turns around the design and the proposal. He hands us, literally, let me change that. He hands us a red pen, like that. He hands us a red pen, and he says, why don't you cross out what you don't want, and I'll recalculate the price. Let me say that again. He didn't do it for us. He handed us the pen, a red pen, not a green one, not a blue one, not a black one, a red pen. He says, why don't you go ahead and cross out what you don't want, and I'll go ahead and recalculate the price, right? And now I have this red pen, and every time we cross out something here, he takes it out here. But every time we're crossing out something here, it's almost like it starts to bleed, so to speak. It's very negative. It's really hard to do because what happens? Here's why it was hard, is that we've already, because we saw the design, especially my wife, she saw the design, she took, like the cup, mental ownership of the actual design. She took mental ownership of the actual design, which means it was hard for her, like the car example, to give it up, like the bag of chocolates. Once you take ownership, it's hard to give up. The sales guy knew this. And so when he handed us the pen, take out what you don't want, he knew it was going to be very difficult for us to cross out anything. And so anyway, the final number wound up being $34,000 for that landscaping proposal because he knew, he understood that again, once you take ownership, mental ownership, that's the important part, mental ownership of something, it's hard to give something up. And so the deal landed at $34,000. And this is why this is a great upselling strategy, because if you put a proposal together for a client and the client says, that's more than I expected to pay, you literally hand them the red pen. You don't do it for them. That's the mistake most people make. Or you say something like, well, let us go back and recalculate. No, don't go back and recalculate anything. You tell the client, why don't you go ahead and take out what you don't want, and then let's see, we'll recalculate the price. That's a powerful approach. That's understanding the endowment effect. And so we wound up settling at $34,000. Yes. Am I happy with the backyard? I have to be honest. Yeah, actually. But anyway, so here are the big takeaways before I wrap up. Big takeaways as I close this out. One, once you own something, you value it more than others would, right? You value it more than others would. Next, giving up a feature once you've mentally owned it causes you a type of brain pain that you can't resist. In other words, you can't get out of it. That's why a fully loaded proposal is what you want to do. Next, adding a want versus need causes you brain pain. Think about want versus need. A lot of people want versus what they need. And last, start with a high anchor. In other words, sometimes we as salespeople, we're afraid to come in with a big price. No, start with a high anchor and then work your way down and reduce that pain. What's worse sometimes is if you come in too low And then you keep adding things, and people are going, okay, why do you keep adding things? Because they're used to that initial price point. So again, come in high, take things out, and then, again, ask them simply, take out what you don't want, and then I'll go ahead and recalculate the price and watch what happens. It's magical. So again, the endowment effect is essentially this. Once I take mental ownership of something, I have a hard time giving it up. Once you show them a proposal and what your scope of plan can be, right? Here's the proposal. Here's what we can do for it. Show them the full scope and how they'll benefit, the whole value proposition, right? And then if they say that's more than I expected to pay, you say, well, why don't you go ahead and take out what you don't want and I'll recalculate the price. And by the way, when you say that to somebody, why don't you go ahead and take out what you don't want and I'll recalculate the price. At that point, watch their reaction. Because if they're real buyers, they'll start what? Taking out what they don't want. And you'll see them hesitate. They'll be like, I don't know, I might need that. I might need that, right? They'll hesitate. But if it's a not serious buyer, they're going, no, we're just not interested. That means no matter what price or offer you put in front of them, they weren't going to buy anyway. But that is the endowment effect. Don't be afraid to start high with a high anchor and then say, let me take out what you don't want. Here's the pen, let's recalculate the price, and then go for the close. And that's how they closed me on $34,000 worth of landscaping. Anyway, and that's it for the Sales After Dark on this one. Anyway, check out the book. Again, Mastering the Upsell. Check out the book. I think this is chapter number 4 on the upselling strategies. Again, what I try to do to incorporate into the book, real strategies that you can use, and it's just going to get good. Wait till I get to chapter like 16. 16 is going to be really good. I'm super excited. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll take questions right now if you guys have any questions. And I know we had a lot of comments scrolling, so hold on a second. Let me go back. There's a lot of comments I know I missed. I saw somebody on here. I have a special guest on here. I saw somebody just come up. This guy right here. This guy right here. This guy, Brandon Bornanson. I call him BB because it's friendly, right? BB has a company called Seamless.ai. Dude, I'm giving this guy promo because this guy has a great company. It's called Seamless.ai. This is a scrapper. Go check out his books. What I love about Brandon is that he's a scrapper, man. From college on up, he's a scrapper. I've had him on my podcast. He's building a great company. He's going to take that thing public eventually, go IPO, and he's going to do super well. And so I wish you all the best, Brandon. Thank you for stopping by, man. I really appreciate you doing that, man. Thank you, man. I noticed you. I appreciate you, man. So Seamless.ai, go check out the company. If you're looking for leads, that's the company to work with. But anyway, let me go back. Mark Gossa says, $45,000 it is. No, brother, no, I don't want to pay $45,000. Let me go back up. I know I missed a lot of you guys up here, so I feel bad. Let me see. So we got Inkle John because that's what they want. Giovanni says they don't want to give anything up. You got it, man. Top down selling. The suit, you were right on that one. Chris Jones, triple quote. 3 offers, man. Always try to put 3 offers in front of the customer. My man TJ says, Master VA, remember that $1 million deal that I had more than a year ago? No. But remind me, still waiting for the proposal to be signed, but now it's gone up to $1.5 million. Is this an upsell? Anything that goes up anything that's anti-gravity is always an upsell. As long as the deal goes up and you're adding stuff to it without actually giving something up. Remember, at the end of the day, the proposal can be as big as it wants to be. What I'm realizing in this market today is profitability. That's what a lot of companies are talking to me about. They're not actually talking about so much price increase. They're talking about profitability. So we're talking about increasing prices, but also reducing costs. And are you profitable? So if you're profitable, there it is. The no reaction method did not work. It did not work, Harold. She just reacted, man. Anticipation is really big. I was toast, man. I got the wallet out. Yeah, she bid hard, man. She was like, it works every time, and she was happy with it. Mark says, let me guess what happened. Gone forever, a red pen, man. I'm telling you, man, there's something about handing somebody a red pen, take out what you don't. It's almost like, I hate to use this analogy because it's kind of harsh, but it's almost like you're like, if you look at all these plants as your children, it's like you're killing your children when you're Xing these things out. And yeah, she did say stop. She was like, no, we're not, I want that. I really want that. By the way, this is exactly the puppy dog close. That's what I'm saying. Once you take ownership of it, it's hard to give up. It's like once you see that, And I got to be honest, man, the design they did for us was beautiful. I mean, we still have it. We actually have it in a frame. It was just a beautiful one. So anyway, Mountain of Inspiration. What a great name, man. Mountain of Inspiration. Thank you, man. I can't wait to rewind this. Thank you, Shai. Inkle John says, brilliant idea. Red pen creates brain pain. Very interesting. It's all subtle, isn't it? Whitworth's automotive policy. It's been a while since you've appeared on YouTube feed. Good to see you again. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I did take some time off, like almost a year, man. I have a question, Vic. On Zoom, how do we pass the customer the red pen, so to speak? Great question. So I use this thing here called the, let me see if I can give you, I use an A10 Mini. Here's how I would do it because I have the equipment to do it. So what I would do is, you know, you can't pass the red pen, but one of the things, have you noticed what I do to you guys? Like, let me go back here. Like this, I can show you stuff like this, right? Now, if this was a proposal, I can make a list of it. And so then I can do, in fact, let me just do this. Let me go all the way to the beginning. Like, let's call this my proposal, right? All these are line items, right? And so what I can then do is, if I have this set up, I would just show the proposal like this. Full screen, I would show the proposal, right? So if I'm talking to you, Jay, I would say, all right, Jay, here's the proposal. You know, and then the price would be right here. The price would be right there. And then I would, and the customer, that's more than I expect to pay, Vic, I would say, again, I would hand them the red pen, so to speak. I said, all right, why don't you tell me what you don't want on this proposal? And I'll begin to cross it out, and then I'll recalculate the price for you. I said, no, you know, Victor, I don't want that right there. I don't want that. I said, all right, great. What else? And that's one way I would do it. So again, I use, by the way, in case you're wondering what I'm using here, let me see if I can get you this angle shot here. I'm trying to kind of give you guys more behind the scenes stuff. Here, that was my glass of wine right there I drank, sorry. But anyway, so I have a switcher right here. I don't know if you can see it. Hold on, there's my switcher. And so the switcher allows me to just, so this one gives me this. Then I come back to this one. This one is the actual second camera, that one right there. And then this one actually goes to the TV. And then so I use the switcher to kind of control things. But it's cool too, because then you can just kind of have, you know, again, just different things you can do. But anyway, so that's one of the ways I would do it, Inkle. I don't know if that, Jay rather, I don't know if that answers your question, but there it is. Anthony Reed, thank you, man. It works, I'm telling you, man. Giovanni, I think it's good stuff, man. Thank you for sharing this content. Thank you. And again, check out the book when you get a chance. What is that link? I will look it up later. Christian, I don't know what that is. Leon Daly, where have you been, man? Where have you been? Love the strategy. I can definitely implement this in my business. It's a good strategy, man. It really is. Like I said, if you're working with, again, I was talking to a technology company today, and so when they're putting together proposals, this is perfect. When they're talking to purchasing or buyers, especially when you're talking to purchasing and buyers, this is a great strategy. Take out what you don't want, let me know, and I'll recalculate the price. As opposed to you just bringing down your price, you're taking away something. See, that's the big difference here. You're not giving them something, you're taking away something. Because most people, what they'll do is like, oh, we need to kind of tighten up our pricing. In other words, they won't take anything out, they'll just leave the pricing if this is the proposal. Don't do that. In today's market, you have to fight for every percentage point in your bid. So, you know, that's what you're seeing, man. Anyway, Christian, my man BB says he bought it. Thank you, BB. Anyway, look forward. We got to do a podcast, something together eventually, man. So you let me know when. Is the endowment effect also related to sentimental value? As you said earlier, because of the work they put into to acquire the product. This is a good question, Inkle John. I don't know if sentimental value it is, but there's there's two concepts here. And I see where you're going with this. So one is that the puppy dog approach, you accepted ownership of it. That's the endowment effect, right? Another thing and I think I talked about this in the first live stream under the freemium one, which we talked about sunk cost. Sunk cost is like once you've invested so much into something, you have a hard time just letting go. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but that's another way of looking at it. It's that I've invested so much. For example, if you look at Facebook, right, and I use this example in the other live stream, Facebook is a perfect example of sunk cost. What happens is Facebook, it's free. And as I say, and you know, if it's free, you're the product. What happens is you put all this content onto Facebook, and then if somebody comes up with a different platform and says, hey, switch to our platform, you're like, but I've already invested all these pictures, all these photos, and I got all these connections on Facebook. It's hard for me to switch over. And this is where using sunk cost is an advantage. If you look at CRM systems like customer relationship management systems like Salesforce, HubSpot, and some of the other Zoho, is that, and Pipedrive, is that once you start putting your data into something, right, you're sinking cost into that system. And the more you sink into that system, the harder it is for you to switch over. And so that's why I talk about in freemium, that if you understand sunk costs, if I can get you to invest in me little by little, you'll have a hard time switching over. From a customer retention standpoint, if you're working with the customer closely and you're really doing a lot for them, right? You're doing a lot for them. They have a hard time leaving you because of the sunk cost. The sunk cost, or the sentimental value in your phrasing, is I've worked with this company so long, I've worked with Victor so long, I've worked with his team, I don't want to go to somebody else. So there is some sentimental value in there, but it's really the sunk cost that I would focus in on. So Jason, you're very welcome, man. Thank you. Only on Amazon, that is correct. Oh, damn, BB in the house. Yeah, BB is in the house, man. Love you, Victor. Love the show and can't wait to read the book. Thank you, BB. Appreciate you, man. The tip on when prospects scratching out things on the statement of work is genius. If they start taking things away from the statement of work, they're hot buyers. That's it. He gets it, man. He gets it. I'm telling you, it's a tell. Almost like in gambling, it's a tell. When they start thinking things out, they've bought. It's just a matter of where we're going to land in price. Great point. Thank you for bringing that up. You posted a pic on LinkedIn over the weekend of another book that you were reading. What was the name of that book? Oh, it was the one by Andy Paul. Oh, man. It's the one by Andy Paul. I'm going to do a video review of it. I read it on my way to Phoenix. Great book. I would recommend it only. And again, I'll do a video, so you'll see me post a video on there. But it's a great book. It's about, it has a clever title. But it's a good book, but I would only recommend it to like people who are starting out in sales. Great content. I mean, anybody can benefit from it. I mean, I learned a couple of things. I dog-eared about 10 to 20 pages. That's like, oh, that's interesting. So you can learn something, but my hard recommendation would only be for those who are starting out in sales to read that book. In fact, if I had a sales team and I had a bunch of new people coming in, I would say read this book. It's very foundational. It's by Andy Paul. And again, I'll post something on there as well. Let me see. Chris Stone, that's my man, Doug. Doug, cool. You guys saying hi to each other. In the middle of another one of your recommendations, Tech-Powered Sales, interesting read. Giovanni, that is a great book, especially if you're in the technology space. And that book is not an easy read, right? So if you're going through it slowly, like I said, it took me 20 sittings, I think I said, to actually go through the book. But if you really get it, what's happening today, especially with inside sales reps or any type of XDR, that is a great book. If you want to understand how technology is changing the world of selling, Tech-Powered Sales by Tony Hughes and Justin Michael is a great book. And by the way, the books I recommend to you are the books I really would recommend to you. So what you don't hear is people tell me, they give me a book and I read it. I don't like it. I won't recommend it. So if I recommend it, I'm telling you it's worth the price. I wouldn't do that to you guys. So know that I go actually through a book, read it, and go yay, nay. If it's yay, I'll recommend it. If it's nay, I don't. You can't judge a book by its cover. In this case, you can. Well done, Vic. Thank you, Doug, man. Appreciate you, man. Let me go here. No, don't cross out your book chapters. No, I won't do that, man. They're good books. Yeah, and it is proposal where they're crossing out any item. Anyway, another Goat Stuff Master VA. Thank you so much. I hope you can check my email. Seriously, TJ, send it to me again. I will get back to you. Victor, buy my whole team, sales team, new book, 50 to 100 book. Let's do it. Thank you, BB. Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. Juan Rivera, mi hermano boricua de Puerto Rico. Always love your content. Thank you, Juan. Juan is with a company called Fast Signs out of Puerto Rico. By the way, I've used Fast Signs to do my banners for my when we were actually doing workshops and public events. So if you don't know who Fast Signs is, check them out. They're a great company. Your books and value overpriced. Thank you. Yeah, books. Let me see. Wow, that's really cool stuff, VA. I'm so green with envy. Oh, hey, off the topic. Do you watch Major League Baseball? The Braves are my favorite team. I don't watch baseball. I just don't. I used to watch sports when I was a kid. I just don't do it anymore. I used to. My hero in baseball is a guy by the name of Roberto Clemente. He's out of Puerto Rico, Pirates, number 21. Look him up, Roberto Clemente, 21. Emotional buying. I think there's a hook there, right? There is a hook, Christian. There is a, when we talk about the endowment effect, there is that emotional hook there, right? That it's like you've bought into it emotionally. So you're absolutely right. It's the right part of the brain that's working here. I bought this laptop for $1,000, but I'm not for $1,000, but I'm very happy to sell it off for $1,000. Am I crazy? Not if it's the wrong computer. I mean, there's nothing wrong with breaking even. I mean, especially if everybody else knows what the price is. New Subi here. Thank you, Victor, for your tips. Cuckoo Kachoo. Wait a minute, I got to put this on. Look at that. Cuckoo Kachoo. That is so awesome, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate you being with us. Selling without, oh, there's the name. Selling Without Selling Out, if I'm not mistaken. That's the book by Andy Paul that I would recommend to new salespeople. Again, I'm emphasizing this again for new salespeople. If you want to be reminded of what you should be doing in sales, that's the book for you, but it's good. Amp up your sales. Always do that. I've just bought your book in Kindle. Looking forward to reading it. Thank you, Harold. And again, we need to get on that conference call with Mark and the team. Thank you, Doug, for putting that out there, Selling Without Selling Out. He has a concept in the book. It's really interesting, Doug. And I think he should have titled it Selling In. And he uses that phrase in the book. And I love the phrase because with Andy Paul's book, it's about, instead of selling out, like selling out meaning you just do anything for the sale. Selling in is about finding your style of selling and you buy into it. And I love that whole concept. And it really goes into selling into it. In other words, don't sell out, sell in. In other words, sell yourself on why it's great to have this product so that will allow you to sell to the outside world. So again, highly recommend it. Hugh Grover, love your work, mate. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, man. Leading a sales team, networking platform, leading sales training and networking platform in Australia is worth a look, man. Thank you. I appreciate you from down under, man. Oh, CF, what's happening? I didn't get notified. I don't know why. I got my book yesterday. Thank you, CF. Appreciate you. All right, I'm going to start wrapping up real quick. Thank you so much, Victor. Always accommodating for all the things you are sharing. I appreciate it. But I'm ordering your new book, Master VA. Thank you, guys. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Again, check out the book. I think you'll enjoy it. And we'll see you Thursday on the next live stream. Take care. Have a great night. In some cases, have a great day. Take care.